challenges we've had. There we go. I'll start again. Hi, I'm Anita Hahn. Thank you, everybody, for being available this evening. We are really looking forward to this presentation from Ms. Montgomery. Thank you for your time. And to everyone, of course, as we wrap up the year, I want to say how much we appreciate all that you've done over the past year. And we look forward to working together with fresh ideas to get out there to do whatever we can to just make democracy work, to increase voter participation and education, and to get more women running for office. So I'm going to turn it over now to Suzanne, Marty, and Eileen, who put this together along with Ms. Montgomery. Your efforts are much appreciated too. So thank you.
So hi, everyone. This is Marty Weiner. I'm a member of the Camden County League of Women Voters. And I learned about She Should Run from a neighbor. We moved into a new condominium about a year ago, and I was talking to a neighbor and said to Melissa, "What do you do?" And she said, "I work for She Should Run." And I said, "Oh, I need to know about that." So we were talking, and that's how I came across She Should Run. And I'm so excited that I did. So I'm very excited to present our speaker tonight, Michonne Montgomery, who is the Director of Programs for She Should Run. And Michonne joined She Should Run after serving 19 years in the United States Air Force, culminating her service as Director of Diversity and Inclusion for Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada. She created the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program, DEI, and helped fellow airmen define their own awareness and resilience journeys. Additionally, Michonne was selected to serve as an instructor of professional military education at the United States Air Force Airman Leadership School in Aviano Air Base, Italy. So she's been around a little bit. Michonne holds a BA in management from American Military University and received her MPA from Capella University. She resides in Las Vegas, Nevada, with her wife and daughter and their 4 chihuahuas, which is very important. So, Michonne, I'll let you take it from here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction. I surely appreciate you. And I surely appreciate all of you for having me here this evening to just talk a little bit about who She Should Run is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll jump in and get started. And let me know if you all can see my slides, and I'll make sure we're good to rock and roll. I'll take thumbs up, intense eye contact, however
We're good.
you feel like letting me know we're good to go. So, thank you again, Marty, Suzanne, Miss Eileen, for inviting me to speak today. To the League President, Vice President, and Board, thank you for your opportunity to speak with the Camden League of Women Voters. And to all of you who are here in the capacity as a member, or you are just listening in, I thank you for raising your hand to be a part of making our country stronger by using your vote as your voice. So together, we're going to build the future we want to see. And that's what I truly believe in. So I'm excited. Marty did a great job of already introducing me. Retiring from the Air Force, 20 years of service, and I stepped into this beautiful role as the Director of Programs for She Should Run. I get to oversee the organization's programmatic efforts by exploring unique ways to present curriculum that demystifies, the roles of elected officials and what it means to be civically engaged. So I choose, which is really interesting, I come from a background in resilience and diversity inclusion. So I pepper in concepts of mindfulness practices. And what I hope to do is create avenues for women to visualize themselves in public office. And hopefully that inspires them to one day take the step to run for office. So my passions personally exist in normalizing female leadership for the present and for the rising generation. And I kind of pride myself on being an eternal optimist, and I believe that enthusiasm makes the difference, and I constantly marvel in the deliciousness of life. So I think life is just beautiful to be lived, and so I'm so glad that you all are here and we get the opportunity to spend some time together. So kind of have a little agenda for us. Today I'll tell you a little bit about, who She Should Run is, what our mission and vision is, where we fit into this funnel of getting women to consider running for public office, and some of the barriers that we're facing as we see more women in office and to get them there. And we'll also talk about why women's representations matter. So you may be thinking, I'm not considering running for public office. This is not the right webinar for me. And to that, I say to you, hold on and sit tight. In order to move this needle on gender representation, it's going to take all of us. And it doesn't matter if you're considering running now or you're like, hey, I'm past that. It takes us all working together to create pathways, right, to elected office. And that's really to elect just one woman. It takes all of us to do this. So you may not want to run, but you can be the light for someone else who does or who needs to get a start in consideration. So she should run. This is what a beautiful thing. I'm so excited to share this with you. We are a national nonpartisan 501c3 organization that increases the number of women considering a run for public office by helping them realize their potential. So we were founded in 2011 by Erin Luz Cottrero. And we're, as we said, a nonpartisan nonprofit, and we encourage women from all walks of life to see what's possible for their leadership in elected office. So through culture shift efforts in the support of our community, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment, we help women fit into the picture and show that no matter where you came from or what you look like, your unique perspective is needed in government. We also make the case to both men and women who have no interest in running that we can't do this alone. So each and every one of us stands to benefit from having diverse perspectives and experiences in government. And it will take all of us to see that vision particularly come to life. Our vision, which is really, really big here. I don't know if you all have ever heard anything of She Should Run, but our vision is 250,000 women in public office by 2030. And I mean, smile, because that's big. So, 2021 marked 10 years for She Should Run. And we're serving women, like we say, all walks of life across the US with resources. We provide education, community programming. And so we created this community because we know that for every one woman elected, it takes thousands more women willing to consider that journey themselves. So we heard the calls for a space where women could confidently explore the possibility at their own pace. And that's what's so beautiful. And I'm excited to be with this organization because we're not pushing anyone to do anything at any time. It's a self-paced, self-driven, community that's there to encourage and motivate anyone who joins. Now, unfortunately, folks, despite all the progress we've made in recent years, the progress for women in this country remains tragic. So here's some facts. We make up more than 50% of the population and still only hold 30% of public office seats at all levels in government. And that reality, the reality is that number declines even further for women of color when we consider LGBTQ plus women and other diverse groups. So at the current pace, we won't see equal representation. Check this out. This math is crazy. We won't see equal representation until 2227. 2227. That's over 200 years from now. So it should, thank you, Miss Anita. It should make you be like, what in the world, right? It should do that to you because that's by definition, Miss Anita, some would say that's a crisis. It's a crisis. And so the She Should Run vision is to boldly grow the number of women representative of all walks of life who see their voices as needed and necessary in the 500,000 plus elected offices nationwide. And we want to see those 250,000 women in office by 2030. And it's going to take, as we said, all of us to do that. So how do we do this? And that's the question. When I took the position, I thought, my goodness, how do we do something like this? But we have three ways that I'd like to share with you on how we achieve our mission. So the first is by working toward a fully representative future. So as I stated, we won't reach equal representation in our lifetime unless we tap into the full talent pool this country has to offer. So on our team, our She Should Run team, our backgrounds are varied. Our talented all-women team is ethnically and geographically diverse. So as Ms. Marty told you, I live in Las Vegas. A lot of the women are based out of DC and some other women, New Jersey, as Ms. Marty said, Melissa is there in New Jersey. So we have women who are spread all over the US doing this work together. And in our community, we have clearly defined goals to reach women where they are, often far outside of politics, which is really interesting. I talk a lot about how resilience plays a part in this, and I'll tell you a little bit later about mindset shift and how we are working to get women to believe that they can see themselves in public office. So we're intentional about the diversity of race, ethnicity, sexual identity, gender identity, political affiliation, and the intersectionality of backgrounds and experiences. Second thing we do is give women a sense of possibility and purpose. And so the majority of support in the field goes towards advancing women who have already made the decision to run. You all probably know this, that a lot of the organizations are candidate training programs. She Should Run is unique in that we are not a specific candidate training program, but we work at the top of the funnel. And I have a little diagram for you here in a bit. But you know, what we know is in order to see more women at the stage, we need to build a diverse pipeline of women who don't currently see their place in political leadership. So I want the women who said, you know, it's not for me, I'm not thinking about it. Those are the women that we're going to and saying, yes, it is for you. And you do have the skills and you do have the qualifications and you do have the leadership ability to take this plunge towards public office and or some other roles. So our content and community centers around providing women an accessible starting place that unveils the many pathways to leadership. We like to say we demystify what the run is for elected leadership, what it looks like. And so we offer virtual courses, we offer webinars, we have newsletters, we have guides, and our guides are amazing. And we facilitate ways for community members to connect with one another. So if you come into our community, we have these various groups that are put together by state, and we welcome anyone to create a group that doesn't exist, i.e. League of Women Voters. You know? So anyone can create a group and use it as a platform to communicate, and we're more than happy to try to facilitate conversation within that group and et cetera. So we have over 50 groups in there right now, and as I said, our robust community, I'll share a little bit more, but we have over 28,000 women in the community. The last step is using data and insights to drive solutions. So here's the best part. And so when I took this job, folks, there's no playbook for the work we're doing. This is some untapped, so I'm gonna go off my script here for a moment. This is some untapped territory, right? Like we're talking about getting people to truly, women to believe that they can do something that they may have never thought of before. And so we're writing the book, if you will, as we go. And so just like many of the women drawn to She Should Run's community, we're always learning and innovating. So we use the insights from our community and beyond to go and guide our content. And you know, I spend the majority of my days reading and reading what other people are researching, but I'll share with you that the research is slim in the space where She Should Run lives. And that's at the top of the funnel. So there's a lot of books out there on women who have already taken the plunge to run for office, women who have, you know, how they got there from, you know, college or from, you know, starting in government and working in a specific job. But there's not a lot of research on that thing that grabbed them in that moment to make that decision. And that's where She Should Run is focusing a lot of their research, especially as we run into 2022, on what's shifting their minds. Where's the point of contact where a woman says, I can do this? Where's that mindset shift? And then what do we need to do to get more women to think like that? With that, as easy as that sounds, of course, there's some challenges. So not nearly enough women see elected office as possibility. And that's just the truth, folks. That's where we sit right now. What we know to be true is when women win when they run for office. Women win when they run. But the reality is that women are still less likely to consider and explore running for office. And unless we dramatically grow the bench of the candidate pool, as I stated, we won't see that full representation in our lifetime. So I'll give you a fact. According to the World Economic Forum, gender parity has a fundamental bearing on whether or not economies and societies thrive. And so if you catch that right there, just gender parity has a fundamental bearing on whether or not economies and societies thrive. We're talking about whether or not we're gonna be okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is deeper than just, I want to see more women in office. We're talking about whether or not we're going to make it. And so when you kind of take a step back and look at it, I feel honored to get out of bed every day and do this work, because when I look at the challenges we face as a country and know how much self-doubt and how many structural barriers are holding talented women back from stepping forward to fight for solutions, I see a chance to make things better. And I know that all of you in the work that you're doing feel the same way. So our solution, She Should Run solution, we get women to consider running for elected office. That's the solution. We step out in the space to say, hey, you should think about it. So we encourage women to explore, and we like this word, wrestle, right? Wrestle with the possibility of running for office. And we've been using that word all through November, so I had to use it here. So we want women to wrestle, to fight with it, right? Because it's not an easy decision, and we give them this safe space to do just that. So we want them to wrestle with the possibility of running for office and abandon that status quo conclusion that they shouldn't run because they won't win. You all know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do it because I can't win. Because the thing is, when you run, you do so much more than just run for public office. When women run for office, they set the trajectory for young girls to see themselves in public office, right? They change what it looks like to see representation at various levels. So we're not talking about just get out there because you can win, get out there because young women need to see you doing this. And so our approach is to create data-driven content, education, and work through collective action to get women to consider running for elected office. And so every woman, and this is personally for me to you, every woman that I've had the honor of working with since joining She Should Run, and that's through webinars, conversations, discussion, they tirelessly come to the table to make their community, state, and or country a better place, and their ability to find their way, to push through the doubt, through the challenges to that leadership role should be the norm as opposed to the expectation. And I imagine you all agree. It should be the norm. It should be the thing that's normal. And that's what we're trying to get at here with our organization. So allow me to show you this beautiful description. Now, our position is unique. And as you can see here, we sit at what we call the top of the funnel. And unlike traditional political organizations, we don't focus on women already ready to run. We work at the top of the funnel to find women who should consider elected office. So follow me here down, you can see we're in this top part of awareness. I want to see more women lead. And so our awareness efforts, we use social media to just talk about what's going on in the world, to ask the questions. Hey, do you want to see more women in public office? Do you want to see more women leading? And that's just making women aware that right now there is a gender inequity issue that exists in public office. The next step that we move into, She Should Run specifically, is consideration. And we have the women, I can't see myself running. And so we work to demystify that. Why not? Why can't you see it? And then here's the best part, and this is what I'll share with you all when I said it takes all of us. If you can't see yourself running, what can you see yourself doing? Aha. That's it. If you can't see yourself in public office, what's your other step? And that's why I'm so excited and I'm so thankful to be here with all of you today, because this is another step, right? The League of Women Voters. This is another outlet that you can utilize to encourage women to step into these offices, to run for public office. But this is how you're doing this. This is the civic engagement, civic duty. So I appreciate you all taking these steps that you're taking now to be where you are in the League of Women Voters. So we help discover their why, though. What's your purpose? And that goes for anybody. What's your purpose? And then we communicate, we work on leadership, we network. And it's really just a community that inspires women to get involved. And so then, as you can see, when you move down the funnel and women decide to run, there's some other places that are out there as candidate training. And these may be organizations you all have heard of: Vote, Run, Lead, Higher Heights, Emerge, are specific candidate training programs that exist. And so we are working right now, we work within an organization, a coalition called Reflect Us. And we're sitting in the organization with Vote, Run, Lead, with the Emerges and Victory Institute and things like that. And we channel women into these different organizations as they decide that they're going to make this run. And then they're on the ballot, and there's some other organizations that are specific to that. They're running for office. And so that campaign training, that fundraising assistance, et cetera. So you can see we sit at the top of this funnel, which is a unique space. You can see, can you all see the only person there is us, We are alone. And it's really unique. I'll just really quick, if you allow me to, it's really unique because, we grapple with where we fall, and a lot of people grapple with where we sit, because what we know is in order to make the rest of that happen, someone's got to be at the top of this thing going, hey, have you thought about it? Hey, have you ever considered it? Hey, is this something you'd like to do? And we took the opportunity to be in that space. And so it's very unique. and I'm enjoying it. But it is difficult work because it's not written. It's not written anywhere. We're writing it as we go. So I'll keep you posted, you know. so so you know, the community and the reach, which is really cool. So as you can see here, we have across our social media sites, which include Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, over 145,000 people are engaged with us, which is a lot of people to tap into. And so we really try to give them good content. 40,000 on our email list. And then we have 28,000 in our virtual community, which is really cool. So that community where you sign up to be a part of, which is part of my focus, is just, it has a plethora of women in it. And we're just so excited every time we do challenges. We have all kinds of curriculum in our incubator that's been written, and it's all free. It's a free online community. I mean, all of the access to it is free. You just sign up. I mean, you know, back in the day, you told somebody something's free, you know, you go get it, you know. so yeah, you'll get it. It's free. So it's free. So, you know, by all means, I'd love for all of you to join it and just become a part of the community, if nothing more than for the curriculum and just for the networking and to be present. You know, 3 ways women in our community describe themselves. They say community focused, politically curious, and purpose driven. And so we use that as leverage to continue to have these distinct conversations and just hopefully move the needle. So I'll share a little bit more about what it is that we're trying to do and how we're getting after it. So our scale looks a little bit like this. So what we know is that in order to influence hundreds of thousands of historically underrepresented women to run, we have to reach millions. Right. So if they would have told me, I don't know, you know, coming into from the military, you know, I need to reach millions to get to thousands. We don't really have to. We just put out a commercial and then people showed up, you know, at the door of the recruiter, you know, wasn't that big? So when I got to this work and they're like, we need to reach millions of a million, you know, OK, so here we go. And so it led us to 2 specific distinct goals here, and I'll share them with you. The first goal that we have is to move 5.4 million women to see the problem and to see themselves as part of the solution. 5.4 million women, that's what we're after, to see the problem and to see themselves as a solution. So for every 1 woman we want to influence to run, we need 6 women to know that their experiences and perspectives can change their communities for the better. So 1 to 6. So to get there, we have to meet women where they are. So this is a unique approach, right? And we're shifting the mindsets towards the opportunity. So when we say meet women where they are, that means if you are right now at the place of saying, I never thought about that, you're welcomed to She Should Run. If you're at the place of saying, no, that's not for me, you're welcome to She Should Run, right? If you're at the place of saying, you know, I thought about it a little bit, but I don't know, you're welcome to She Should Run. If you say, hey, never for me, but I want to find a place where I can do some good and serve my community, you're welcome to She Should Run. So that's the unique approach, because I know for, you know, some of the other programs, you have to have a dedicated response to say, yes, I'm running for public office, and we're just not that organization. So as we build toward a representative pool, our plan emphasizes awareness efforts with young women, women of color, the LGBTQ plus women, and women with disabilities. So the next step, our second goal, is to then cultivate the curiosity and consideration of 1.8 million women to move them into the political leadership funnel. So remember, I said we need millions of women just to get to the few thousand, right? So from that 5.4 million awareness goal, we know there's work to be done to shift the percentage of those women's mindsets and behaviors to the consideration space. So despite that conventional wisdom that we all have, there is no one path to elected office. So regardless of what anybody's been told, there's no one way to get there. Everyone is going to do this in their unique way. So our tools, our resources, and our interactive community offer a variety of approaches and entry points for any woman to explore her curiosity about elected leadership and gain confidence in how she can and should run for elected roles. So what I love about the 1.8, and folks, just FYI, this is my job right here. Cultivate the curiosity and consideration of 1.8 million women. That is a big, I think had they put that on the application, I don't know. Yeah, 1.8 million women. I started checking my social medias. I was like, I do not know that many people. So we have to, I started thinking like, how do I do this? You know, but it's really interesting because of the research that I've done since I started, which was back in August and full-time in November. I realized that a lot of women they're nervous, they're scared, and so we're starting to look into that whole idea of building up the belief. So when we talk about mindset shift, and I took this to a different spot and started thinking of it from a neuroscience perspective and things like that. How do we shift the neural pathways that exist in our brains to believe that you can do something and see yourself in this position? And so I took a little bit of a different approach than what we've been doing. And I'm hoping that as we move into 2022 with some of the new curriculum that I'm writing, we will see some changes happening. We've been moving good, and I want to amp those numbers up. So we'll be bringing in some of the resilience and some of those beautiful concepts to start creating a space where women can not just be aware, but in that consideration, they can actually visualize it. So vision board parties are beautiful, things like that, that maybe are just a different touch where they can actively and tangibly do something throughout this virtual lens. So we'll see what happens, fingers crossed it all works out. It works out, and I'm on to something here, but we'll see. And it's all trial and error. As it tells you, no playbook for where we live. We're the only ones there, so we're writing it as we go. So some of the barriers, and there are barriers, what keeps a woman from stepping in? Because honestly, after seeing something like this and hearing something like this, I think if I wasn't in the military, I'd been like, oh, it's for me. I need to figure out how to run for public office. But that's not the case. So one of the barriers that we see is perceived lack of qualifications. It's probably one of the biggest barriers. Women don't think that they're ready to run because I don't have the qualifications. Hint, hint, you don't have to go to law school to run for public office. It's not necessary, right? So when women consider jobs or promotions, they are more likely to ensure they have met 100% of the qualifications before applying. This is data research proven, 100% of the qualifications. Whereas men don't do that. They're like, I'm gonna just apply and see what happens. And women are like, I'm gonna wait until I have it all. And the same principle is true, like for running for office, while several qualifications are cultural, arbitrary, or assumed, many women keep themselves from running because they assume they don't match up. But I'm here to tell you that, what we say at She Should Run is if you care, you're qualified. And that's what it boils down to. If you care, you are qualified. And outside of some of the other things being resonant and et cetera, depending on the seat that you're running for, but if you have a care, you are qualified to jump in this game. And so that's the part that is, a lot of women go, huh? Yes, you have a passion for something, you can do this. The next thing is that we see double standards and sexism. So women are more likely to be asked questions about their appearance, their children, their significant other, or other factors that separate them from their policy positions when running for office. And that's intimidating, right? They're told to smile, called aggressive for demonstrating the same qualities that gain men the title of assertive. And so these barriers can keep women from running or hinder chances once they do decide to run. And that's unfortunate, but we're working. We also have a webinar that we do called Combating Sexism. And it's on there if you join the community. You have access to it. And it's so good. I'm going to repeat it next year. I'm giving you guys a hint into my 2022 strategic plan. It's very good. And I'll be repeating this one because it got a lot of traction. And we realize that imposter syndrome and sexism are two of the things that stop women a great deal. So we'll be touching back on those points in 2022. The last part that is a barrier that holds women back is recruitment. And so women are less likely to be recruited by political gatekeepers. And so, simply put, fewer people are telling women that they would be good politicians. That's what it boils down to. They're not getting the same amped up, built up mindset that other people are getting. I'll say the majority of men are getting. They're told that their ideas matter, or that they don't view them as leaders. And so, but they are. They definitely are. So without some of these external demonstrations of confidence, often backed with funds and support, women are often alone and under-resourced when considering a run for office. So external support to run from both a political and a non-political actor more than double a woman's likelihood of considering a candidacy. So, this is where, when we talk about recruitment on the external stage or the exit stage, once you come to She Should Run and we link you with some of those other organizations, that's why that's huge, because those organizations run in specifically backing candidates, which we don't do. But we can link you with organizations based on whoever you work in conjunction with, or there's so many organizations that you could fall into. Your states have organizations. different demographics have organizations. So we're trying to say, hey, don't feel defeated because you weren't recruited, by some headhunter. You can go out there and there are organizations that will get behind you. So don't let that be something that stops you. And lastly, what I'll share with you all is why does all of this matter in the first place? And what it boils down to. I mean, you all are League of Women Voters. I'm sure you understand the importance behind this work, but the reality is, let's kind of look at some of the facts. So let's start with our national constituency and what that looks like. So we're a population in the ballpark of 320 million people. And all of those people, women are just over half, as I stated earlier. So that means that we are a little more than half of the people who use healthcare, who use public transportation, who pay property taxes, and who vote, right? As a matter of fact, I'll give you a fact. The number of women voters has exceeded the number of men voters in every presidential election since 1964. Miss Anita says, yes, thank you for that. I read a book, so, but But so here's the thing, but in over 500,000 elected offices nationwide, from town council to Congress, women are seriously underrepresented at all levels. So we have to do something about this, right? First thing, women bring unique perspectives to leadership. Women's representation is crucial for the best possible results from our government. And that's just the truth. And women are not all the same. This is the thing. One woman in office doesn't do it. Okay. We all have different experiences and perspectives, even as women. So we need women who are alike and not alike in office. We need women of color. We need LGBTQ plus women. We need lower income women. We need women with disabilities, and we need it right now, right? We need women who are closest to the pain in our country, and those who take action and charge forward. So that full representation. Women approach policymaking differently. So we need to celebrate what we know. When women are in office, they lead differently. We often say they want to run for office because they want to get things done. And it makes sense that women are more consensual and collaborative. So they're more likely to work across party lines. And they're known to be highly responsive to constituent concerns. So it's less about ego and more about result. And the last thing is women are more likely to bring gendered lens to policymaking. So women are likely to move agenda items related to the lives of women and children. It's also notable that more women in political leadership opens the options for girls rising to see themselves reflected in public role models and plan strong futures for themselves. And so, if we're going to make this thing something cyclical, something that continues to happen, we have to get women at the table so that the younger generation can see themselves in it. It has to start, and to be honest and frank, it has to start sooner than later. So when more women run, more women lead. And here's the thing, as more and more women from our community specifically become elected officials at all levels, they become role models. They normalize women's leadership, and they amplify the need for gender parity in office. So by encouraging more women to run, we're building a more effective and representative government that can meet those challenges of the 21st century. And the only way to get to that equal representation sooner than that 22-27 that I talked about earlier is by accelerating our efforts and not only supporting women running, but also by looking around the corner, right, behind the curtain, for the millions of women not even considering it. And we have to think big and play the long game. And that's why I think the work that we do is so important, because we peel back the curtain and we go, who's thinking about it? Who's thinking about it? And if you're not, why not? And so if you kind of think about where we sit and what we're doing, we have like a sneak peek to the show. And if we have that sneak peek and we share that information with other organizations, we know what's coming down the pipeline, and we can prepare for that and hopefully change it, if it's not looking good. So we'll see. Right now, we're doing some research that's hopefully going to give us some information into what 2022 is going to look like. As you all know, it's election year, so we'll see what happens. And but we're hoping that the research that we have coming out next year, early part of the year, is going to give us a little bit of a sneak peek into what we can expect. So to you all, I say voting, right? The League of Women Voters. I say to you, voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves, one another, this country, and this world. So being a part of organizations like the League of Women Voters places you ahead of the game. So, allow me a moment to kind of link what you do in your organization to your preparedness for running for public office in that long game. So yeah, as I said, we say she should run if you care, you're qualified. Here's the thing, no one leads or serves in elected office all by herself. Political leadership is truly a team sport. And I'm sure you're all aware of this. And that's where networks come in. So you will not by yourself possess all the knowledge, the experience, contacts, skill to be successful in running or leading an office. And spoiler, that's the same in nearly any endeavor. You need people. So your network is where you can turn when you need to supplement your individual expertise with that of others around you. And maybe you want to speak to a former elected and learn from his or her experiences, but you don't personally know someone. I bet someone in your network does. Maybe you want to up your social media game. I'm sure someone in your network can help you with that. And maybe you need to start fundraising, but you have no clue where to start. I'm sure someone in your network does. And you kind of see what I'm saying. I did a little research on you all, the Camden County League of Women Voters, one in 39 local leagues in New Jersey, right? Your local league is connected to a network of thousands of members through the League of Women Voters New Jersey and the League of Women Voters US. You all are just tapped in. I'm about to move to New Jersey and join you, right? It's just, you're tapped in to everything. And so when you start using that network to grow yourself, it doesn't seem so alone. And this is what we try to get after, and She Should Run. You have a network of people. You're never alone in this. And just that idea puts you all, being a part of this organization puts you steps above, because we get women who start at the starting line and they say, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea where to start. You all have taken the step and the plunge in the right direction. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for your commitment to your civic duty. So the last part I would say to you all is get involved. And you're doing that now. But I'll give you 3 ways that we say to get involved here. She Should Run. Ask a woman to run, join our community, and support women's representation. So when we say ask a woman to run, I really just want to hit on this. Ask a woman to run. Research shows that when women run, they are elected at the same rate as men. I'm going to say that again, and I'm going to say it for the people in the back. When women run, they are elected at the same rate as men. All we have to do is run, folks. That's it, right? But today we all still often struggle to say the simple words. You should run to the woman we love. We don't say it. You should run. You should run. We don't do it, and we don't do it enough. Say it to the person that you love. Say it to the person that you know is qualified. And let me be very clear. We do not have the same struggle and encouragement of men. Men get encouraged to run. Hey, man, you should run for office. They do. And women, we need to do the same thing and encourage one another to take that plunge. So we have to start early with girls. Girls are less likely than boys to see themselves as elected leaders. And about the time they reach puberty, I just read this data about a week ago. By the time they reach puberty, they have already started to question their qualifications to lead. Did you all know this? This is wacko. So by the time girls reach puberty, they have already seen themselves as at a deficit already. Because they don't see themselves in public office. It's really sad. And the data is, this lady did the study. It was mind-boggling to me, but it let me know that our work is so needed in all levels. So as you're thinking about the women in your life who would make amazing leaders for us in government, be specific in your encouragement. Start the conversation by acknowledging all the ways that this woman gets stuff done, right? And handles business, the magical ways she problem solves, and how, she exactly does what she needs in our elected office and our elected leaders. And then be prepared for this conversation to go awkward. Because when you ask a woman to run, be prepared for her to be like, no, no, thank you. Right. I asked my mom and she was like, yeah, no. I said, okay, but I did my duty. Okay, mommy, no problem. Right. But, not only are most of us trained to not talk politics, you could probably agree we're steered from this, but you're also likely to hear the thousands of reasons why it's an insane idea and how it could never fit in their life or now or really. And that's all normal. Let the woman say it, let her say it, but remind her you are serious and that you care about your community and your state, and you want leaders just like her. And that's what we say, ask a woman to run, call on others in your network to make that same ask. And here's the win, and you can write this one down. A woman's curiosity equals a win. Just piquing that curiosity equals a win, right? Remember, 5.4, 1.8 million. So help me get 1.8 million women to just be curious. Right. So join the She Should Run community. We're battling this assumption that people come to politics because they're political. FYI, people come to politics because of community. And we're a community of 28,000 women working together to move the needle on women's representation. So join the community. be a part of it, because we want to help your community as well. And then we support women's representation. And, you know, She Should Run did a survey where we surveyed 1,000 women across the United States. And we found that more than 60% are not even considering a run for office now or in the future. And that was devastating to us. We have to get behind women who are considering this and who are running for public office, you know, and that just, it doesn't mean just vote to vote for a woman that's in office. You know, it's definitely not what we're saying, but we are saying to educate ourselves on who's on the ballot. And that's a whole nother, I started to put all of that, Ms. Marty, I had this whole, you know, 50 some odd slide thing. And then I had to condense, you know, trust you, me, Kathleen was like, no. And Melissa was like, huh? And so I just want to share information, but I would do have a whole thing on like who's on the ballot, you know, and and understanding the ballots and all that stuff. So we try to get into that and tap into a little bit of the voting aspect. Again, we don't get into backing any political candidates or anything like that, but we do get into just training people on what it means to vote and the importance of it. So you all are doing that work, and I thank you so much. And so this is my last slide for you. Yeah, I thank you for having me. And this has been a great opportunity to just kind of talk about what we do. And I hope you learned something and are excited to maybe join the community and be a part. And I'd love to see you in there. We could chat even more. So that's all I have for you all. And I'd be happy to stay around and answer some questions and talk a little bit if you'd like.
Well, thank you so much, Michon. That was great. And for me, very inspiring and very informative. I'll start the questions since I have one or two here. When did She Should Run start, and what's your source of funding?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So great. Okay. Go right in for it, huh, Ms. Marty? Okay. So
I don't waste time.
So, you know, this year is actually 10 years for us. So we started in 2011. And so 10 years in, we are donor based, and then we ask for donations in many cases. I had that slide on here, but I took it off, y'all. No, but we ask for donations. So we go out and we seek. So I kind of break this down. We build programs. So this year, you know, last year we did Breaking Barriers, and I'll stick with the Breaking Barriers program. I'm building out a new program this year. It'll launch in January, which is Civic Engagement Suite. And so we find donors who are interested in what we're doing, and then we work with them to say, hey, we present what we're doing, and we ask them to support it, whether that's through a specific programmatic effort, or if that is them wanting some type of professional development series or something specific to their genre that they speak to, whether that's the youth or a specific demographic. So that's pretty much where we get a lot of our funding. Is we have really good director of development who does not take no for an answer. And so she goes and presents, and I do a lot of writing thus far to say, like, this is what we're getting after and this is how we're doing it. So I'm trying to work this year to kind of streamline that actually, and hopefully present it in kind of a more cohesive unit that follows a stream of a woman walking through her growth within our organization and within the community. So I'm excited. I'm looking to roll that out in January.
Great.
And I think I answered both questions, right? When we started in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And while I have the floor, I'll do my second question, and then I'll let
Yes,
other
ma'am.
people. I was an elected official locally. I was on the school board, elected for 3 terms.
Hey,
some years.
congratulations.
But one thing I had, and this is a barrier that I don't think you mentioned, was amazing support from my spouse and my family. I had
Yes,
2 young
ma'am.
kids at home, but so how do you help women with that issue? Because that's a biggie, I would think.
And just for clarity, are you saying, like, how do you necessarily help women utilize the support from their family, or
deal with the issue of support? I mean, I was able to go to meetings in the evenings and spend time doing research and doing the work because I had a spouse and parents who were able to give me childcare, basically.
Right. And so one of the barriers being, what if you're a single parent?
Right.
Okay, got it. So when what's interesting is we did one of the webinars. This year, was it August? I started in August. I think it was the end of August. And so we had a woman on there who was a single parent. She was commissioner, and so we asked these questions. And so this is what I'll say, how we get after it, and then I'll kind of give something else. The one way we get after it is we find women who are already doing it, Marty, and we bring them in and we say, what are you doing? Right. And so I would bring you in if that was your situation and say, tell them what you did. Right. Because, well, of course, we're not the expert in all things, but the reality is, we want women to know that other women have done this and they've had those same shoes on. So it's doable. That doesn't mean it's your exact same scenario. And I completely understand that, but we want to give you the idea that it is doable to do. And so if you don't have that support, what I would say though, is that there's support, and there's more support than anybody could ever imagine that exists out there. A lot of times we just have to find it. So when I talked about using that network, what I truly believe is that if you have a network of people that are supporting you, in that network of people, I might not be able to give you money, but I might can watch your kid for an hour. I might not be able to support you financially in some way, but I might can build you posters, or I might, can handle your social media. So I encourage women that despite what it may look like, what that barrier may seem like, don't give up on the fact that there are a network of people who want to help you. And you just sometimes have to ask the question.
That's a great resource. Thank you.
And then I would also in that and say, don't be afraid to break the mold. Take them children if you got to take them and show them the truth about what's happening out there. Don't be afraid. So I'm writing the civic engagement suite right now and, showing up to a city council meeting. And one of the things that they started doing was having the city council meetings virtually. And I thought in Las Vegas, and I thought, that's beautiful, because there's some people who can't get to the city council meeting, or they need to be able to bring their kids with them, right? Like that would be ideal. So I break the barrier if the barrier exists, I would say, but also don't forget to use that support network. And that's just
perfect. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle, I think that Winnie has a question, and then there's a question after chat in the chat.
Okay.
Her question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Miss Winnie.
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to commend you on your excellent presentation.
Thank you so much.
I want you to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
As you were speaking, I was just sitting here, going back to my years on this earth.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I was just thinking about things that we were taught as we were growing up. And basically, from my perspective, we were not encouraged to become leaders and to get out there and to be politicians.
Yes, ma'am.
Not at a very early age. Perhaps when we graduated from high school, or perhaps when we went to college, those of us who did, or perhaps whenever we got our jobs. That's
Yes,
when we, from my perspective, that's when we were encouraged to more or less become involved in this world.
Mhm.
So having that picture, how would you say that we would try to get younger women to think along these lines, especially when they are not taught these strategies in the schools?
Yes, ma'am. First off, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for your presence. I sure appreciate you. So what I would say to that is, as I told you, I just read this study, right, where we're seeing that young girls are already counting themselves out by puberty, right? The age of maybe 12 to 13 was something. And so and actually, let me tell you that the study went even younger. That they had young girls, I believe they were 8, don't quote me, who were drawing photos they told them to draw photos of elected leaders and what that looked like. And the majority of those women, young girls, drew male figures. So they had already decided at an early age, subconsciously, of course, that didn't include them.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you get after something like this? Now, She Should Run specifically doesn't operate in that space, but there are organizations who do. Ignite, I believe, is one of those organizations who works specifically with young girls to start to build their leadership qualities. And I would even say to help them see themselves as leaders at a very early age. But I think what I would say based on where She Should Run sits is that part of the push to get more women to consider running for public office is so that more young girls can see them in public office. And that would be the change. A lot of us, I didn't see women in public office growing up, and I'm years old, so right, so with that, it wasn't something that I grew up seeing or believing. And then I get into the military and I didn't see a lot of women in senior leadership positions. So it wasn't something I'm with you. So I just didn't see it. And it wasn't that it wasn't told to me, it just wasn't visualized. So I think as the more we see, as we see more women doing this, as we have more conversations, and now we're using the social media platform to engage with women and young girls, even to say, you can be this. And so I'm hoping that with some of these powers combined, I kind of like to say with some of these powers combined, we can start to change the trajectory and start to change that mindset, even in young girls. There are organizations out there who are working within the high schools, within the colleges, specifically to do that task. What I would say is when they're in high school, I would say stick with that, because our community has a population of women that, span between, we're sitting between about 26 to 39, and that's give or take on both ends. And so our issues are kind of like what Miss Marty said. What about childcare? What about, I filed for bankruptcy. Can I still run? What about, I haven't thought about it because I have 4 kids and I've been on government assistance. Like our community is women with real problems is how I kind of look at it. Real women, real issues, real problems. I want to do something in the community. I work full time and I'm in school. I have 4 kids and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I've never been to school. Am I qualified to run? Yes, you are. And so our lane is operating in that space of encouraging all women, all walks of life, that you can do this and you should feel comfortable in doing so. So I hope, though, that with all of these organizations combined, us starting at the top of the funnel and some of those other organizations starting in the high schools and working directly in the colleges, that we can kind of work together. And that's where I talked about that coalition, Reflect Us. And that coalition combines, I think it's 7 organizations, 7 or 8, where we meet once a month and talk about how each of us are getting after this and how we can work together to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there's a question in the chat. I apologize. Well, thank you so much, Miss Eileen. I appreciate it. What is She Should Run doing to reach out to high school, college students to interest them in your program? So what I'll say, high school, we have not tapped into. Colleges, however, I do get a lot of requests from college professors, specifically in the women leadership field, that want us to come and speak. So I don't know what they've done in the past. I will tell you, Miss Eileen, Michonne is all for it. And so I am all for going into the colleges and having these conversations. It's something I'm super passionate about. And I think that's a point, and kind of to what Ms. Winnie said, I think it's a point of place, a touch point that we could get into that we maybe haven't tapped into previously. And so I'm looking to change that trajectory. So I started responding to a lot of those women, and specifically the professors who are asking to come out and speak for an hour. I just have to kind of build the curriculum and curtail it a little bit to the demographic and the age group. And what they're currently going through. But I believe I'll be out in colleges, or at least virtually with colleges, within the year. And I would start by just kind of doing the same thing, giving them some of the facts and hopefully encouraging them. I am working on creating some workshops as well that will hopefully cultivating your leadership. I think is going to be the one that can kind of transcend into both age groups. It doesn't really have a barrier to it. And then another one is civic engagement in you, and just how you can get civically engaged, and it doesn't matter when you start that journey.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Miss Janet, I see you raise your hand. I love the raise the hand function. There it is. So,
As do
okay.
I. Okay. Yeah, I just have 2 actually more comments. One is related to the college. I don't know, I was listening to NPR's A Takeaway today, and Kelly Dittmar, who's I believe teaches women in politics at Rutgers Camden, was on and was talking about it, a few of the issues that you spoke of. I mean, most memorable is just in terms of how there's such a differential judging of women politicians over men, and that seems to be a big barrier. And then also the whole idea of not being recruited, that it's more men are asked to run for office than are women. In fact, it's interesting, my husband has been asked to run for office. I've never been asked, but I'm not going to be running. But I don't worry. Well, if I do run for office, then I don't get to stay on the board of the League of Women Voters. So that's one reason. But in any event, the other I think more relevant, and I can also hand this over to Renee Robbins, who started this program within this chapter. I don't know if you're were able, you looked on our website, but we have the Running and Winning program that Renee spearheaded, started it from a League US program, and it goes going into the high schools. Renee, do you want me to hand it over to you? Oh,
Oh, let's help her out and unmute her. If
can
we
someone
can.
unmute Renee?
How's that?
Hey,
Great.
there we go.
So should I describe it?
Yes.
By all
the year
means, please.
In the year 2000, we just started to form a one-day workshop for high school girls called Running and Winning. And what we did was bring in elected female officials to talk to the girls. The girls picked a campaign issue and were to run for office and give a speech, and all in one
Oh,
day.
wow.
And we did it in most high schools in Camden County over
Wow.
the year. Yes, and it's been, and then it was taken to the national convention, and the kit was sold to League of Women Voters all over the country.
My goodness.
So I'm glad you're getting to know about Running and Winning.
Yes, absolutely. And well, what a phenomenal program to create. I mean, I think that's really amazing to get them to truly experience what it feels like to maybe, and I imagine like to get behind an issue, to pitch that issue and to
Yes.
show, you know, that speaks to public speaking skills so much. I can see how a day, my gosh, my mind would be blown. You know, that's really beautiful. And kudos to you all for starting something like that. I am going to feverishly take some notes really fast, but yes.
The only
uh,
the only thing we could not do was trace whether any of those girls from the year 2000 till last year ever ran for public office, because you are not allowed to have the private information of these girls. And so we
Oh, my
never,
goodness.
so we don't know if any of these girls ever
Wow.
did any.
Oh
Let's-
my goodness.
So let's hope
You-
they did.
I'm sure they did, right? I'm sure they did something, whether that, you know, civic engagement spans so much, right? So I'm sure they learned a lot in that day and realized that they have a role in this to play, whether that's running for public office or not. So and I think even in today's terms, there's some things from a social media standpoint and some other perspectives that may be able to keep those connections alive. And I don't know, I'm excited. That's a great idea. And I don't know if it's something we could do within high schools, but I wonder if I could do like a mock election in the community or something like that, crazy like that. Who knows? I don't know. I just put it out there. You know, I just put it out there and either get told yes or no. I'm new to this, so I only been there a little bit, so I'm new. Can we do this? You know, so I love that idea. Congratulations to you all. It's a beautiful program.
And
It sounds
if I
amazing.
may add, I think another really important part of the program was inviting elected officials, female elected officials, to come and speak briefly to the students, and then also be interviewed by a group of students. So they really got to get some of their stories. And I heard some, in doing this, have heard some really great stories of how women became involved in politics. So
That's beautiful.
anyway,
I think that, and that's the connection, right, Ms. Shannon, with and what we do out there is all of our webinars. We just had a webinar. We had a political strategist, a city councilwoman, and an advocate in one webinar. It was interesting, but was really interesting. But we try each webinar to bring someone on who has either gone through it or has sit somewhere in the funnel, because the reality is women want to hear what happened. I mean, we brought on a woman who didn't win. And that was a good one. We got a lot of signups for that one because, you know, tell me what went wrong, and, you know, and it's fear of failure, you know. And so we brought her on, and she talked about, you know, what happened, but how she bounced back from that and grew from running, and how she would run again. Another one of the things, and Miss Jennifer, I'm going to definitely get to your hand there. One of the other things I noticed was this idea of social media and the fear of social media, and what's happening right now. So I'm actually working with another organization right now to partner and create some content, and maybe it'll be a webinar to start with, and then some content a latter part of the year on social media and how to protect yourself on social media. So please look for that in the first quarter. I'm hoping to nail that down. So I won't say the name. I'm just hoping to nail it down and secure that donor and that partner relationship, and create that content. And they work in the space of social media specifically. So that's kind of the stuff we do. I go out and I say, hey, this is what the community wants. I find someone who specializes in it, and then I try to work with them to create some content for the women in the community. But I really like this program too, and I'm leaning more towards programmatic ethics that are experiential, kind of like what Ms. Renee talked about, and you did, Ms. Jennings, as well. Ms. Jennifer, please and thank you. I see your hand raised there.
Thank you very much. This was a great presentation. I
Thank
have
you
to
so
give a shameless plug on behalf of the League of Women Voters for two things, and maybe you could put in your training or your toolkit. One, that it's important for the candidates to understand the value in our democracy of debates and forums, candidate debates and forums, that if you are running for office, the voters want to hear a little bit more about what you stand for and your platform. And so just to make sure that's in your toolkit. And the shameless plug is the Vote 411. That is our LWVUS national online registry of candidates and their positions. And so we tell people, if you're in a certain zip code, you can put the zip code in, and hopefully the race has been uploaded to the database, and the candidate has answered the questions that we have thoughtfully prepared so that the voters can understand what's going on. So I just want to put that in as a shameless plug, but thank you so much. But just to understand that debates and candidate forums are an incredible part of our democracy.
Can you give me that site again that you noted?
Vote411.org.
Vote411.org. So
and,
what
and
else?
just to tell you, just real quickly, I was so impressed last year, 2020, this is something that LWV US has had for years. And I was driving in my car on a Saturday, and I was hearing the Steve Harvey Morning Show actually talked about Vote 411. That's to tell you how the outreach that the national office has done to different communities. And I had people in New York City, where I'm from, coming out and saying, hey, I heard about Vote 411. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? I didn't know that this platform was available, this tool, to know where my candidates stand on these issues.
So what I'd like to do, so I am going to do a webinar next year, and maybe you want to come sit on it. What's on a ballot, and how do you, what's on a ballot, and I can't forget the second part, but I think this is spot on to where I'm going when it comes to understanding what your right is as a voter, but understanding how to be aware of the issues. And so that's exactly what I was looking for. And another thing I can do is link this to one of our exit strategies for women, but also within the community. We ask a lot of questions and send women a lot of information. And so that's I'm going to check it out and definitely see where we can plug it into our online resources for sure. Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone?
If you don't mind, Ms. Montgomery, thank you. You were such an inspirational speaker. I really appreciate hearing all this. I want to confirm with you, is it okay if we post a link to the video for this?
Yes, ma'am.
This event, and also, we'll make sure that on our website and social media that there are links. I think this is terrific.
Absolutely.
I think everybody covered most of my concerns, which we tend to be geared towards younger people, towards getting younger people involved and motivated to vote, so that, looking at these, my thought as you were talking was, young boys are told, you can grow up to be president.
Absolutely.
Young girls rarely hear that. So, this is something, and I do know that nowadays I understand that more women are going into college than men. So again, that's, to me, that's a resource that we could work towards to get them ready for your demographic of 26 to 39, I think you said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they can definitely come to us, and we will, even if, a lot of one of the Google searches, and this is, Marty, Melissa will tell you, one of the Google searches is, I want to run for office, where do I start? right? I don't know where to start. That's what's happening. Where do I start? What's that first step? And that's where we work in just demystifying. Even if you are sure, you know, I want to run for office, where do I begin? And you find your way to us. We try to get you into the right space. If it's not our space, you're definitely welcome to stay with us and hang out and use our resources and all the information that we have. But we definitely try to field you. If you're already at the space, I'm running, I know that. By all means, we want to field you to where it is that is going to be best and beneficial to you. This is what I love about these organizations, is we are all working towards the same beautiful goal. We're all working towards the same. And so, yes, ma'am, Miss Renee. Yes, ma'am.
Originally in the year 2000, I wanted to start running and winning in colleges. And I was advised that the most girls in college are working part-time, and they would not have time for such a thing. And that's why we switched to high school. So
Wow.
if you want to get through to high school, to college girls, that's a bigger challenge.
Right. You know, I would ask, and I guess I do wonder if the virtual space is creating an opportunity for us to tap into a bigger group of women, even if they are working part-time. So a lot of times I think that time frame, that time crunch, if I can get you on a webinar for an hour, and this is why I'm kind of strategizing where we fall, and you know, a webinar is an hour, a workshop is 3 hours, that commitment level kind of grows if you're here and then you go here. So a program like that, I would put in between, kind of, you come to a webinar, you maybe done a workshop, and now you're looking for that intense 1 day, you know, all in session. I would probably strategize it and put it down there for those who are truly committed and like, hey, I want to know, I got to know more. I got to be a part, and we could work together to figure that out. And maybe a virtual platform would allow more ease of access. But I think, yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. I think it's really great. I'm excited. And I'm so excited for all of the work that you all are doing. Please feel free to continue to reach out to me and let me know if there's anything else that I can do for you all. I'm here. And I'm available.
This is terrific. Thank you. We've got your contact information.
Okay.
And we'll put it on our website and that's such. And
Absolutely.
I'll follow you on Twitter. If that helps.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all over on Twitter.
I'll throw my email in here, Mishan@shisharun.org. I'm also on LinkedIn, and by all means, connect with me, and you know, we can continue to network and partner together. Absolutely. I love it.
Thank you so much. This
You're
was
very welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna jump off the line if you all are good with that. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you so much, Sean.
Absolutely.
Excellent
Take care.
program.
Thank you so much. Blessings on your journeys. Thank you.
Thank you.